Hello, fellow artists. This is Linda Riddle, and it's a good time for art. I'm out in my garden today because it's beautiful outside, and I'm planning on getting messy. We're going to be exploring some of the amazing things that you can do with paint today. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to some artists who did a lot of interesting explorations with paint. Claude Monet was the French painter who founded the Impressionist movement. Impressionist painters focused on capturing movement and the changing light and color in the landscape. Monet is especially famous for his gigantic paintings of the water lilies in his garden. Monet's brushstroke is a key feature in his work. He used fast, spontaneous strokes to show the reflection of light on the pond. The Dutch painter, Vincent van Gogh, was one of the most influential artists in the world. His painting Starry Night shows his unique style of using paint. His bold, dramatic brushstrokes expressed his emotions and gave movement to his work. Van Gogh used thick paint and worked quickly with a sense of urgency. The French artist Georges Seurat had a very different approach to painting. He invented a style of painting called pointillism. His paintings are composed entirely of small dots. Seurat studied color in a very scientific way. His methods of applying color were based on 19th century optical theories. He laid colors side by side so they would blend in the eye of the viewer. So I have all my tools out at the table. These are some new paints that I just bought, and I want to see how well they work and what possibilities they might offer. I have a brush in every color, and here's some tools we'll be using later. I am going to be working fast because the sun is moving. I guess the earth is turning and the sun is going to be shining on this pretty soon, which will change the light. So let me just start. Just want to see what happens when I just slap my brush down. See what kind of textures I can get. I'm just going to try some short little strokes. Trying to see if I can get that Van Gogh thing going here. I know he was using much thicker paint. Now, since I have all these colors here, I'm just going to try something different. I'm going to take my roller, roll those paints around. It's going for Van Gogh, but it looks like I'm getting a little more Monet here. Nice thing about cardboard is you can just pile the paint on and move it around. You don't have to worry about paper crinkling up or anything. I'm going to try one more time to get some of those Van Gogh type of brush strokes. And I think one of the problems I had before was I was using round brushes, so I've switched it out to brushes with flat edges. So now I'm going to experiment a little bit more with some of these great tools that I have here. And I'll start by just putting down a bunch of paint really quickly. These scrapers are really fun. You can do straight lines, wiggly lines. And they come in different sizes that have different effects. You can always go back and change things if you want. These little dryer balls make some nice textures too. We use those for printmaking before. Just with your brush, once you get a bunch of paint on there, it's just such a good flowy feeling. I have these rollers that have some little textures on them. Let's see what happens with this. And then just these regular rollers. The activities we're doing today are great for artists of all ages. For toddlers and preschoolers, open-ended exploration is the way they learn best. Older artists sometimes need the opportunity to loosen up, and this is the perfect way to do it. Working big gives you the freedom to really let loose. One great way to explore with paint is to paint a cardboard box because it's nice and sturdy. And you can store things in it. One thing I like to do sometimes is to take some lightweight paper, like tissue paper, and attach it to the paint. I'm essentially using the paint like glue. And as long as the paper is really lightweight and the paint is nice and wet, it's going to stick. You can just leave it like that if you want to, or, whoops, it's 2 layers. Cool. Or you can partially paint over it or totally paint over it. Helps it stick down a little better if you put some paint along the edges. If you enjoy getting messy, there's nothing better than finger painting. And you don't have to have a special kind of paint. You can just take regular tempera paint, blob it on the paper, and start using your fingers. I love cardboard for this because it's so sturdy. Before the sun goes down, I'd like to show you a few of the painting explorations that I did. I think I had the most fun painting the boxes. And I tried a lot of different things. Here's a little bit of tissue paper collage on top of a painted box. And on this one, after the paint dried, I came back in and did some relief print making, which we did in one of my previous classes. This is my finger paint box. And here's another fun one. It's just so great to have all these different sizes of the box to explore. What I did with my big cardboard painting that I did on the fence was to cut it up into pieces because I don't have a space big enough to display a painting that big. So what I'm going to do with some of these pieces is maybe use them for collage or use them as a backdrop for other paintings and other artwork. Finally, I'm going to show you a few of my other explorations, and I'll give you some close-ups later. Here's my exploratory painting where I used a lot of rollers, and it kind of reminds me of the water lily paintings of Monet. Also, it's reversible because that's part of my mural. Here is my attempt to imitate some of the brushstrokes of Van Gogh. And what I found worked the best is, first of all, to use brushes that aren't round, brushes with a straight edge at the end, and also to let colors dry in between. And here's my pointillism experiment. And I started with Q-tips, but I found out ultimately that the thing that made the best dots for me was to use a pencil eraser at the end of a pencil. It made perfect little circles. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great time exploring all the wonderful things you can do with paint. Look for my next video on the first Monday of the month. In the future, I'll be releasing a video the first and third Monday of every month. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's all for today, but remember, it's always a good time for art.